Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. I do have one quick favor before we get to the video that you came here for, and that is very simply this. You see that little red subscribe button below this video? Go ahead, smash that subscribe button. It really does help me. It really does help this channel grow and my audience grow. So go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And now, here is the video that you came here for. All right, let's transition to what I believe is the other big topic in football since I last spoke with you. I do hope everybody had a great weekend. That is, of course, Urban Meyer signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We've talked about Urban Meyer a lot this offseason, first with the potential Texas opening, now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And again, I know this story is 3, 4, 5 days old, but I got a lot of DMs, a lot of tweets, whatever. What do you think, Torres? You think it's going to work? You think he's going to make it? So let's talk about Urban Meyer really quick. And, I think what I would just start by saying is that I just think it's going to be fascinating to watch, right? Nobody knows. Look, we thought Jim Harbaugh was going to be the savior at Michigan. It's been a disaster. We thought, on the flip side, how does Ohio State replace Urban Meyer with a guy that's never coached a game of college football before? Ryan Day's been awesome. And so you never know in life what is going to work and what isn't. But I just think it's going to be fascinating. I think it's going to be fascinating for a couple reasons. And first of all, I just think it's going to be fascinating from Urban Meyer's perspective. I mean, I don't ever remember a circumstance quite like Urban Meyer to the Jacksonville Jaguars. First of all, I would say this. It doesn't appear as though I never thought that Urban Meyer would never coach football again, but I did say after he turned down the Texas job or turned down at least interest in the Texas job, I thought it might be realistic. And so when this popped up, I think it's important to note Urban Meyer to Jacksonville is not like Urban Meyer was like pursuing NFL jobs. I think it had to be the perfect spot, the perfect situation. He wasn't going to the NFL to try this NFL stuff, to be the head coach of the Detroit Lions or be the head coach of the New York Jets and not know what the future held there. He was going to go to the perfect situation, and I do think this is just about a perfect situation for him. Number one pick, Trevor Lawrence, generational quarterback, which we'll get into in a minute. Florida, an area of the country that he's familiar with, he's lived in, his wife was willing to live in. Again, I don't think he was taking the Detroit Lions job. I don't think if the Minnesota Vikings opened up that he was running up to Minnesota to be their head coach. And I just use Minnesota as an example because it had to be the right spot where his wife would be happy. It had to be the right spot where he thought he could win. So it's going to be fascinating from that perspective because I don't think Urban Meyer was pursuing NFL opportunities as much as one fell into his lap. The second reason it's going to be fascinating, this is really the first case in I think most of our lives as football fans where you have a really successful college head coach that has literally zero NFL experience, right? And like I've seen a lot of these analogies to this guy or to that. Well, Pete Carroll's winning. Pete Carroll had been a head coach in the NFL twice and got fired before he went to USC, then ultimately back to the Seahawks. Nick Saban had been an assistant multiple times in the NFL before he got the opportunity with the Dolphins, obviously coming from LSU. Even somebody like Matt Rule last year. He had been an assistant in the NFL before he took a head coaching job with the Carolina Panthers. And so Urban Meyer, really the only analogy I can come up with, and maybe there's another one that you guys know that I'm not thinking of, the closest thing that I can come up with is Jimmy Johnson going from University of Miami in the late 80s to the Dallas Cowboys. That is a long time ago. Like I said, we have people under 40 that don't remember Jimmy Johnson as a college football head coach. And so for those reasons, I think it is going to be fascinating. Now, the bigger question is it going to work? And I do think it's going to work. I think it's going to work for a couple reasons. I think, first of all, you got Trevor Lawrence, right? And like we're doing this thing now because we do this in the media and as fans and as consumers of sports where we're trying to like talk ourselves out of Trevor. Well, he wasn't great against Ohio State. And what could Justin Fields? I mean, Urban Meyer knows Justin Fields. Stop it. Trevor Lawrence is about as safe of a bet as a number one pick as I've ever seen in my life. First of all, you've seen him, you've watched him. 6'6", huge arm, runs really well, tough, not afraid to put his shoulder down, great leader, all that stuff. When I think about Trevor Lawrence, I'll take it a step further. Like he's such a lock. Like I've heard Colin Cowherd say this, but like we've stopped debating who's going to be the number one pick in this draft for the most part, right up until the last week or so with Justin Fields. But like we stopped this debate 2 or 3 years ago, right? We think about all these great quarterback prospects. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was literally undraftable the year before he won the Heisman, the year before he went number 1 overall. He went from 15 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions as a redshirt junior to 50 touchdown passes as a senior. So like Kyler Murray, we thought until 2 weeks before he declared was going to be a professional baseball player. Baker Mayfield was a former walk-on. So you think about all these quarterback prospects, none of them come even close to the pedigree of Trevor Lawrence. And so I think that's the first reason why Urban Meyer is going to be successful. He's got a chance to draft a franchise quarterback. But I think the second reason, I think it's an important reason. I think Urban Meyer, as stern and tough and kind of larger than life as he is, my understanding from people who have spent time around him is, one, he's really smart, and two, he's really adaptable, and he likes to surround himself with smart people. And I think that's an important point in any walk of life, but certainly in this particular situation. Urban Meyer does not know the NFL. And I think it's very smart of him that he is appearing to put together a staff that includes mostly guys that have been around the NFL. I even saw he hired Charlie Strong, his former defensive coordinator at Florida, who at least had spent some time in the NFL throughout his years as an assistant coach. And so, I think he's really adaptable. I think he's willing to learn. And I think he is going to hire smart people around him. And when I say he's adaptable, I think you can even take it back to Ohio State, right? Zach Smith, his former assistant coach, was on this show a few weeks ago, and he was talking about it, is that there are certain coaches that as they get older, I've been doing it this way forever, I'm not changing, you guys adapt to me. That's why Les Miles isn't the head coach at LSU anymore, because he would not and could not adapt to the modern era of college football. And it's why, by the way, he's probably going to be out in Kansas in 2 or 3 years. He just has never developed an offense that looks like something that is in the 21st century. I'm going to talk about John Calipari later. I'm starting to wonder if he is able or willing to adapt to modern college basketball in 2021. So there's a lot of guys that just won't adapt as they get older. But Urban Meyer is almost the exact opposite. Zach Smith brought it up the other day. But as he got older, he realized the smartest thing he ever did was he realized what he didn't know. He realized what his limitations were, and he hired smart people to supplement it, right? That 2015 team, they won a national championship. They returned everybody, but the next year they couldn't score. They had Zeke Elliott, Michael Thomas, Cardale. They couldn't put up points. And so what did Urban Meyer do? He went out, he hired Ryan Day. Ryan Day came in, changed the offense. A couple years later, they're competing for national championships. A couple years later, Ryan Day takes over as the head coach. Back-to-back Big Ten titles, college football playoff appearances, I believe 4 to 5 straight conference titles, even if there isn't a national championship in that stretch. So this is a guy that is willing to adapt. This guy is a guy that is willing to hire smart people that may know stuff that he doesn't. And I do think he's going to be the CEO. I don't think he's going to be calling plays, right? He's not going to be sitting there with his play sheet staring at it. I think he's going to be a CEO. I think he's going to defer, and I think he's going to hire smart people around him. And I think that leads to kind of the final question is, like how is he going to do in the big picture, right? I think the first thing is, look, we know Urban Meyer's track record. I'm not here to pick it apart and, he left this place under controversy. But he's not going to be there forever. He's intense. He is probably the most intensely competitive person that many people say they've ever been around. I'll tell you a quick story before we get to some hoops here in a minute, is that 2017, I believe, national championship college football playoff. It was the fall of 2016, I believe. Ohio State makes the college football playoff. That was the year they did not win the Big Ten, but still made it in as an at-large team. They play Clemson in Phoenix. I am at that game, covering that game for FoxSports.com. And Ohio State loses 31-0. That was the year that Clemson won the national championship with Deshaun Watson. They fought back, got into the playoff, won the national championship. But in the semifinal, they beat Ohio State 31-0. And I'm telling you, Urban Meyer at that podium, I have never seen a human being more dejected, more defeated than Urban Meyer after that game. Trust me, I've been to Final Fours. I've been to all sorts of stuff. I've been in all sorts of big games, Elite Eights, games that knock you out of the NCAA tournament. I've never seen a human being. I can't even describe. It was like he literally had. I don't even want to make a bad analogy, but it was just like his whole life had been taken away, like his family had died or something. I don't want to wish that upon anybody, but you get the point. I've never seen anybody so defeated as Urban Meyer was that night. So he's intensely competitive. He has health issues, and so when people ask me how he's going to be, I think he'll be good. I just don't think it's going to be for a long time, right? Gets to Florida, wins a national championship in year 2. By year 5, he's basically done, comes back for one more season. Year 6, he's done. And then at Ohio State, wins a national championship year 3, ends up in year 7, but the program had kind of flatlined, and he was clearly burned out by the end. And so when I talk about Urban Meyer in the NFL, like, I think it's going to be really good. I think the division is winnable. The Colts are going through, some changes. The Titans are fine, but the Titans aren't some juggernaut that's unbeatable. And, of course, the Texans are all sorts of turmoil. We don't even know if they're going to have Deshaun Watson going forward. And so when I look at Urban Meyer, like, I think he's going to be really successful. I think he's going to make a few playoffs. Maybe if everything goes right, goes to a Super Bowl. But I don't think he's going to be there very long. I think he's going to be there 5, 6, 7 years. I think he'll have a ton of success, and then I think he'll leave because that's how Urban Meyer is. And at 56 years old, he's not taking this job to be there for 15 or 20 years. Not that anybody but Bill Belichick really lasts anywhere but 15 or 20 years either. The one thing I will say, though, even if he only stays 5 or 6 years, guess what? He's Urban freaking Meyer. And I think 2 very important things are going to happen simply by him being the head coach of this program or this organization. One, he instantaneously makes the Jacksonville Jaguars relevant, right? Like, I was watching kind of bits and pieces of the press conference when I was home over the weekend, and, like, Jacksonville is relevant. Like, I'm not even a huge NFL guy. Now, I watch all the games, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, all that stuff. But, like, Jacksonville is all of a sudden really interesting, right? Don't you have to tune in to basically every Jacksonville game now because of Trevor Lawrence and because of Urban Meyer? They are all of a sudden cool in a way that the Jaguars have maybe never been cool since their organization came about 20-whatever years ago. So that's one. And 2, Urban Meyer's a really good coach, and he's a really successful coach. And I think even if he does only last 5 or 6 years, I do think he is going to take them to a level that whoever he hands it off to the next person is going to be able to sustain it, and they're going to be a relevant franchise here for the next 8, 10, 12, 15 years as long as Trevor Lawrence is healthy. So to me, it's going to be fascinating. There's other variables. He's got to hire smart people in the front office. I don't think he's a number cruncher. I don't think he's a salary cap guru. But I think Urban Meyer is going to be really good. I just don't think it's going to be a 10, 12, 15-year commitment as much as it is 5, 6, 7 years, full speed ahead, couple playoff appearances, maybe a Super Bowl, and then he'll probably burn out like he does